Feel me like a Hellcat. Like a Hellcat.
Alright, Jake Phelps here. In this video, I'm going to do a quick rundown on the Husqvarna 435 and my experience with it, having used one for over a year now. I generally used to use, when I used to be really heavy into firewood and selling it and what have you, I used to always use steel. And they're great saws. I really like them. They last. They cut good. They're really the way to go if you're really heavy into this stuff. I always used a MS-290. They don't even make those anymore. But for what I do now, I don't generally do a whole terrible lot of dealings with the firewood industry like I used to. So I just have I have a smaller saw. And like I said in the beginning, I've had this thing for a little bit over a year now, and it's held up for me. And it's held up surprisingly well. So that should be all the review it really needs to say that it's a good saw. Because I'm not super careful with a chainsaw. I mean, I take care of them as much as I need to, but I don't treat it like it's a little baby. You know, I work them, I use them, but I do it smart. So as long as you have a little bit of experience with chainsaws, you'll have no problem if you decide to upgrade or downgrade to a Husqvarna 435. Now with this saw, a lot of people seem to have problems starting them. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, it's cold right now, what I'm going to do is show just how I cold start this particular saw. The first thing I do when I pick it up is I pump the primer bulb like 8 times. Then the next step is to pull out on this and then lift it up. That'll choke it for you. And then you pull on it until you hear it start to start. Like 2-3 times. Alright, took 4 that time. Like I said, this thing has been outside all night long. So, I mean, the temperatures didn't get too horrible, just a little bit below freezing. Alright, and then what I do, and this is not the recommended way to start a chainsaw, but with a small one like this, I find that it's okay. Then I simply take it, press, I didn't touch that, it was in the choke position. I didn't touch it, all I did is pull the trigger, and that put it into the starting position. And that's how you do that. A lot of people, or some people, tend to have a little bit of trouble with starting a cold chainsaw, or they just haven't really picked up on exactly the temperature of the saw that they're working with, and they haven't really learned how to cope with it, with the saw temperature as it pertains to starting it. I guess they don't have a feel for it. And with this saw, you're supposed to use a special kind of a gas that it's like pre-mixed and all this other stuff. I tried it, and to tell you the truth, I've had better luck with just using regular old 50-to-1 than with that stuff. Just, it ran fine, but it didn't feel right, and also it didn't sound right. And I feel like with just using the 50-to-1, it just seems like just regular old 50-to-1 in this saw. It just seems to me like, yeah, I'd be much better off popping out a spark plug and putting a new one in if one gets fouled up, than using some whatever the heck they're trying to make you put in these things. And I mean, it just seemed like it was like too highly combustible or something. It didn't sound right, didn't feel right. Then putting that stuff in there and really messing something up, because that stuff, all that new stuff, it's untested. Like, I'll let somebody else test it on something, and they can tell me about it later down the line. But all that new gas and stuff pre-mixed and all this other crazy stuff, I don't know. I have plenty of good luck just keeping mindful of if my gas is fresh and if it's mixed right. And I always mix 50-to-1 with chainsaws, and I do 2.5 ounces per gallon, no matter if I'm doing a 5-gallon jug or what have you, because I'm not gonna. And I've been doing that for years. And when it's been just me putting gas in something, that's something that I was putting the gas in. As far as as long as it was a 2-stroke, that's something I'd been putting the gas in. If it was just me, has run fine. It seems like whenever somebody else gets their hands on it and gets using it and starts putting gas, something messes up. So I've always stuck with that 50-to-1, and like I said, 2.5 ounces per 5 gallons, and it seems to work. I do that outboards. I do everything that requires 50-to-1, and it works great. So generally, that's a good saw. I don't have a lot bad to say about it, except for it's not a real powerful saw. It gets the job done if you're just messing around, and you're probably going to want something a little bit bigger if you're doing a firewood business year round, or dropping trees all the time or something like that. But this can do it as long as you're careful, and it's not as powerful. So with things like dropping trees with this saw, it's kind of dangerous, because it doesn't have the power needed to do stuff like that. And when you put something that's not super powerful into somebody's hands that kind of knows what they're doing, it's worse than putting something that's, say, I don't know, super powerful into somebody's hands that doesn't really know what they're doing. That's just the way things work, and the experience that I've had dealing with this stuff over the years. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like, and also share it.